Can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you now.
All right, hey, there you go, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Lion's Den. Hopefully, everything is good with y'all, and this is a great time to be around, connected with everyone, y'all. So this is a beautiful day. Hold on, wait a minute. Who is this? Miss Danny? What's going on in the building? How you doing, ma'am? How's your weekend?
All is well. Happy Sunday. How are you, gentlemen?
Oh, doing good.
Good.
Yes. How was your weekend? Good?
Yeah, it was quiet, good with the kiddos per usual, but it was good.
Right on. Big Herm, what's up, man?
man, not Butch. I didn't know we were showing off tattoos today, man. I would have been.
I see that. You know what I mean? I forgot.
You know what I mean? Show my tattoos and stuff. You know what I mean? But, now everything's good this weekend, man. I started something new for myself.
Oh, geez.
Backslid a little bit, but I'm starting back up on Monday. Last week I did all fruit for got my daughter bringing my whiskey to me.
That's why you felt
it. I don't care what nobody say. Anyway, I did straight fruit for Monday and Tuesday last week and had really good results with it, man. I felt blood pressure stuff going good and everything.
Okay.
Wednesday I snuck a cheeseburger in there.
Jesus.
Thursday I was like, you know what? I'll start back again on Monday. But it's been good, man.
Hold on, wait, no. You know, look, we'll talk about that another time. I'm tired of you. Look, man, you're a habitual backslider. That's what you are. Goodness gracious. Jabri, what's popping, man? How you feeling?
Hey, what's up, man? How are you? All is well, bro. All is well.
What you got going on this weekend?
I told you I ended up coming to Puerto Rico, man.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're in Puerto Rico right now. Hey, everybody ain't able. How is it?
I'm talking about
taking an hour out of my day, man, to be with my my fellow Lions Den's member, man. So what's going on?
Absolutely.
It's amazing, by the way. It's been an amazing weekend.
You just taking a break for any kind of cause? You just some new time?
Well, it's my cousin's birthday. He turned 50 this weekend, so we just came down to celebrate for a little bit, man. I'm heading back tomorrow.
Yeah. So Jabri, you're the resident chef. How's the food out there?
When I say I've had some amazing food, Danny, oh my God. I went to a place today. I had a whole red snapper. Hey, kind of remind me of Buddyaki, man. Hey, Herm know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about, brother.
And so, oh my God, it was so good, man. So I had that with bongo.
Well, look, y'all. He's gonna be in and out, but of course he's over in Puerto Rico right now. You get what I mean? So whatever his however his content is as far as his video stream, we're gonna give him that grace with that. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, hey, this episode we're gonna be talking about the journey of hope and healing. So before we go into that, I want you guys to listen to a video. All right, and this is going to take the set the stage. Right. And afterwards, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not on YouTube, you might want to get on there, right? Because right after this video, we're going to be solely on YouTube, right? But however, please feast your eyes to this upcoming video. Okay.
Hi, Pamela. We just had another doctor jump and commit suicide from Mount Sinai. And they're just covering it up. This keeps happening.
If we had this number of patients jumping from hospital rooftops, there would be an investigation. Why are we not taking this seriously when these are doctors and medical students?
We're going to be looking at two things: the posture on the wall. Everybody understands that medical school is very demanding. Those demands have a profoundly toxic effect.
Doctors have felt that they need to start running faster, seeing more and more patients.
All of this pressure happens, and there's no margin for error.
You take care of people who die. It's like you roads your spirit.
Workload, isolation, sleep deprivation. It is a time bomb.
It really is almost like tunnel vision. The only way that I logically was thinking at that time was I had to end it all.
Break down in my room every night. I never wanted to die. I just wanted to stop suffering.
People believe in you because you are perfect. Death sometimes feels like a safer option than having that mask uncovered.
The biggest risk is patient safety.
Medical errors are now the third largest cause of death behind heart disease and cancer.
As many as 250,000 people die each year.
If you have somebody that is not functional either mentally or physically, then you can't have good quality care.
I've seen a resident be in a surgery, falls asleep standing up.
You use the analogy of two large airplanes a day going down. Is it 500 people a day dying, 1,000 people? We don't know, but it's a lot of people. So my first question is, how come this story is not on the front pages of the papers every single day?
Because this is so taboo religiously, culturally, and within medicine, it's just completely covered up.
Did they talk to you guys all about it, like about what happened, or it's just he didn't show up one day and everyone's like, okay, something happened? Yeah.
If a third of them are suffering from clinical depression, that should be known, that should be exposed.
Our son Kevin was a fourth-year medical student who took his life on April 23rd, 2015. I realize this has been a problem for decades and nothing's been done about it.
We are not ashamed, and we're going to do anything we can to keep others from having to go through this, because I'm going to tell you, it's hard.
Cultures and institutions don't change because we ask them to change. They change when they're forced to change.
I've read the petition, and we're already doing what they're asking.
I think if you were to really take on physician suicide with the seriousness that it needs to be investigated, it would take our entire medical profession down to its knees, and we would have to rebuild from the bottom up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So before we introduce our guest, I want to read you something for Mr. John Dielt. So John and his wife are passionate about mental health and suicide prevention, especially among our dedicated physicians and medical students. Their son, as you saw in the video, Kevin, was a fourth-year medical student who died by suicide in 2015, weeks before his graduation. All right. So within the past 9 years, the Dielts have been dedicated to raising awareness for this problem, as well as cause and promising solutions. To that end, they have shared Kevin's story in a full-length documentary that you guys saw a clip of called Do No Harm, which is shown nationwide and featured at the Cleveland International Film Festival. They have been featured speakers at medical schools, conferences, professional organizations across the country. They have also testified in the Missouri legislature in support of legislation which has benefited all 6 medical schools in the state. So John and Michelle are retired, but remain dedicated to raise awareness about mental health issues, especially as it relates to early intervention. They both serve vital roles in CHADS, and that's the Coalition of Medical Health and Nonprofit based in St. Louis, which is focused on suicide prevention and anti-bullying programs for kids being in the 4th grade, or beginning in the 4th grade. And so John sits on the board and does absolutely great work. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome Mr. John Dielt to the Lion's Den.
Thank you all.
John, how you doing, brother? How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. You make my day every time I get to talk to you, Mr. Seth. What y'all are doing, what you're all about, makes my heart feel really good. Makes my chest fill with pride.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, Seth and I had the opportunity to meet at a CHADS Coalition for Mental Health trivia night, and it's almost like we knew each other forever. I mean, just easy to talk to. We understood where each other was coming from, And I said, anything we can do, anything I can share, any way I can help, that's what we need to do.
Got it. Well, listen, John, again, we want to thank you for being on and for taking the time out. And again, ladies and gentlemen, this is a sensitive subject. So make sure that as you're listening to this is a story of many. Okay, but think about the situation, whatever it may be, and how you can be part of a solution and to help someone moving forward. So, John, we're going to have our team ask you, a series of, just questions to understand you, your why, and your grieving process. And so to kick it off, we're going to let Miss Danny ask you your question. Okay.
Hey.
Yes,
Thank
thank you
Miss
again,
Danny.
John, for being here, or Mr. Dill. My first question is just language is constantly changing and evolving. What is like the politically correct term? How we should acknowledge suicide? Is that accurate, or is there another name that we should be giving it at this time?
I've been, like Seth said, we've been speaking all over the country, everywhere for 9 years, and you were the very first person to ask us how somebody should approach it. We, as I told Seth, we don't want people walking on eggshells around us, but not everybody has an understanding of how the other person on the other side feels, right? We prefer died of suicide. Some people say commit suicide. Some took their lives. There's really no right way, but if you hear a lot of the people, like people who lead Chads and some other, they'll say they died by suicide.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. We do appreciate that. And I know it can be kind of sensitive.
It's okay, man.
Oh, you're muted, Herm.
Mr. Dill, first and foremost, thank you very much for coming on to the show. Me and Seth, we've been doing this for a few years. This is the first time we've ever had a show like this come on. So, I appreciate your perspective and being able to help educate people as we go along with this show.
Thank you.
So my first question is, when it comes from with your son dying from suicide, a lot of times people say, you can see the signs that is happening and things like that. Was there anything that caught your attention, when you think back, just to help people that, that may have somebody they need to keep a closer eye on? Was there anything that when you think back, it's like, this could have been a sign right here that my son needed help?
That's an excellent question. There is, now that I'm more educated on a subject, especially with working with Chads, when I go back and look at movies of him when he was younger, and I think back of things, people who have mental health issues are usually really good at hiding them, very good at hiding them. Kevin was particularly good at, because he was going to be a psychiatrist. He actually matched into a psychiatry program where he was going to do his residency. And I think one of the main things, it's one of the things Chads teaches when we go into grade schools, middle schools, and high schools with the Signs of Suicide program. If you notice, the kids are withdrawn. They really don't, or people really, I think I'll sit this one out, more times than normal, right? And they become, start doing things like giving things away that they would normally cherish, or saying things like, it's really not important. Anybody can do this. And it is, there are some definite signs, some really definite signs. Now, when Kevin was further down the road, right before he died, the last 3 months were horrible. And it was things like saying, no, how do I want to say this? It's, no matter what you offer, no matter what answer you might give them or coping mechanism you might give them, it'll always come back around. No, it's no good. That won't work. And it's just a swirling. It's just a swirling current they get caught in and drugged to the bottom. Does that help you out? Is it kind of what you're asking?
Absolutely, especially when you talk about the swirling effect of keep dragging down to the bottom. So So knowing that, how do you recommend somebody help somebody in that situation?
Excellent question. We, forcibly, my son and I were tight, right? I mean, he was my right arm. He was my hero all through life. He continues to be my hero today. And I think, being so, I think when I really knew, and let me back up a minute. Sometimes when you have a teenager or a person in their 20s, you don't know how much is them being rebellious or just saying stupid stuff, or how much of this is really an issue, right? And when we realized it was an issue, I inserted myself and I said, Kevin, for your father, please, for me, we need to get help. And he did go get help, and it did seem to help. But the rigors of medical school just didn't allow him to stay consistent with it. And in medical school, it's very taboo to get mental health treatment. It's changing now, but so he had to assume an alias and go out of town, and we had to pay cash for him to get his help. And then later on in his 4th year, he had to take some rotation sites outside of where he was, and there was nobody around that knew what his normal patterns were. There's nobody around. It was terrible. It was terrible. And we hospitalized him, got him on medication. He seemed to be doing better, but yeah, things happen. I guess God wanted him back home.
Hey, so I have a question, and it may be a little more personal. I'm a true believer in all the tests that we go through is not for ourselves. It's to share with other people to ensure that they understand, and maybe they may not see a light at the end of the tunnel, but because we've gone through it, it's something that can help someone out. So as a family, I understand how damaging that can be and how many rippling effects that may have caused throughout the family. Can you give us some insight on how you guys, and I'm sure this is something that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, but can you give us some insight on how you guys were able to come together as a family to even start moving forward in life? Because I can understand how something like that can really halt a family. It can break a lot of families up, actually. So the fact that you guys have remained constant and you guys have started everything that you've done is a testament to how solid as a family that you guys are. So can you give us some insight on how you guys were able to maintain that and stay strong throughout that process?
Excellent question, Mr. Jabri. I mean, yeah, first of all, I'm very blessed that we were a strong family to begin with. That really helped a lot. We did have mental illness on both sides of our family, and we were blessed that that we thought we dodged a bullet, right? A lot of times this doesn't present, especially in young men between the ages of 18 and 26. That's when it can really present, and that's where you don't know where to go, right? And it can be exterior pressures, whatever. When this happened, as you can imagine, it was devastating. I saw a comment come up asking, how do you start the conversation? And sometimes it's difficult. Miss Patrice, I guess, is that's asking. And yeah, you have to sit down and you have to confide in them and you have to say, hey, listen, and I asked him, Kevin, what's going on? Actually, he came to us in his 3rd year and he said, I am clinically depressed. I did the test online, all that. Okay. And that's when we told him to get help. And he's telling us, well, I got to assume an alias, go out of town and pay cash. That made no sense to us, right? Wouldn't anybody else who's never been there. But we did it. Whatever you need, go do it. When this happened, we knew that there was a potential for it to happen, and we held tight, man. I mean, my wife is an amazing woman. Our daughter is an amazing woman. People react differently. I pretty much took the role of the person that had to go and say, Kevin, you need help. We got to get you help. You need to do it for me. I was the in-your-face type of person because that's my personality and that's what I do. My wife receded she's more of an intellectual, more of a analytical person. So she looked up everything we needed to know online. And our daughter was brave enough to tell us, hey, listen, let's put medical school on the back burner. Let's get him, he's not doing well. And so having that cohesive, it really helped us, right? When Kevin died, we had no idea where we were or what we were going to do. I mean, the divorce rate for people who lose a child to suicide is like 78 to 80%. You will what if the hell out of yourself, pardon my language. You will always wonder what if we did this, what if we did that? That doesn't bring him back. We had to figure out what it is we could do and what it is we had to do. We couldn't find our way to the front door because we were in such a dark place, but we knew one thing, and that was we had to help others. We had to help others that might be going through this, or the families that might be going through this, because it's horrible. There's no other way around. We had no idea how we were going to do that. Absolutely no idea how we were going to do that. But we knew, we said it right there. It was within minutes of his death that we turned to one another and said, this is what we got to do. And I will tell you, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I will tell you, the quickest way for our recovery to get back to a life that we now know is normal, because you're never back to normal, was by helping others and by working with others. It opens up. It's like learning music or another language. It opens up another side of your brain and creates a perspective that you never knew existed. So we think that was his gift to us.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Dill, you said, so first of all, the topic of the conversation today is a journey of hope and healing. And you kind of answered what I was going to ask you, which was going to be like, because I'm sure you never do fully recover or heal from that situation, how do you define your healing? But you explained that it's through the work that you're doing. So I would like to ask you, what were some of those first steps that you started to put together your organization in remembrance of your son?
Miss Danny, you are so spot on. You haven't been talking to her, have you, Seth? These are really, really good, solid analytical questions. And what I will tell you, what I said before, is we had no idea what we were going to do, but we knew if we had the opportunity, we would. And our first opportunity to take that step came when we got a phone call from Dr. Keith Frederick. He saw him in the clip. He was a state representative, Missouri state representative, and he reached out to us literally on his way to Jeff City. He was so moved by the obituary he read in the paper that he came to our son's funeral all the way from Rolla, Missouri. So he did like a 2.5 hour drive to come to St. Louis to the funeral of a medical student he didn't even know. And he called us up and he said, I was so moved by the love and support and the cohesiveness of everybody who was there, to honor you and honor Kevin. I wrote him a poem. And he said, I'm working on a bill that is being made to help medical students be evaluated for mental health at the beginning, and then and check up on them all the way through. It's been voted down twice now, and I'm going up. They're going to vote on it again tomorrow, and if it goes down, it'll go down in defeat. All the 5 major medical schools in in Missouri did not want it because they really didn't understand it. They're not villains; they just didn't understand it. Okay, so he said, I wrote a poem for your son, and I'd like to read it on the floor before the vote. Now, this happens every day, right? Tell me God or higher power or whatever you want to call it isn't working in your life. Everybody gets a poem read for them, And so I don't know if you can see this behind me here on the wall. That's a proclamation with the poem on it. And then the poem's also on his footstone at the grave. And so he did that. And that was our very first step toward recovery. The bill did pass. We had to go another 2 years testifying. Basically what it does is Show Me Compassion Act. In the movie, you'll see my wife, Eric Reitens, is signing the bill as it passed. And then we helped testify for another bill that helps medical students who don't get residencies to be able to practice in underserved markets, as long as there's an MD that they can report to. That when you heard my wife reading at that statement at the Capitol, that's what we were there for. That was 1 month after our son died. The other thing that happened was you saw Dr. Kim Perry in a white coat talking. She was one of Kevin's mentors, and we called her and said, "Hey, can we talk to his 3rd and 4th year fellow students to let them know how important it is to reach out?" So we made that appointment. She was at Christian Northeast Hospital here in St. Louis, and she ran the residency program. And so she said, yes, of course. We set up that date. We got a phone call in the middle. The woman with the kinky hair, Dr. Weibel, kind of brought all these people together. So the young man you saw that looked really tired is Dr. Hawkins Meacham. He called us. He was so much like our son that we adopted him, not legally, but we're still very close to him today. And he attempted and failed. Okay. He said, I want to come to that, and I want to talk to these students. All the way from Des Moines, Iowa, he drove down here. And so we said, yeah. Also, Dr. Weibel set up the producer of the film you saw, had her call me, and she said, hey, I got a backer, and I'd like to shoot a documentary film. She's an Emmy Award-winning filmmaker from Los Angeles. And I said, look, we're doing this presentation. This young man's coming to me. Can I film you meeting him for the first time? Sure. If you want to come all the way to St. Louis, do that. Knock yourself out. Well, they filmed 3/4 of the film here in St. Louis, and a lot of it was in our house. And it was really the first time we met Dr. Meacham. While she was here, she said she lost her backer. And Dr. Perry said, when do I get to be on TV? And she said, as soon as you raise $350,000, get this film made. And we did it. Dr. Weibel, Dr. Perry, Kickstarters, a lot of lovely, lovely, caring people that we won't even know chipped in. And now that film's been shown all across the United States, over in Asia and England. It's been on PBS, and it's now on Amazon Prime. I think about $11 to rent. It's a 90-minute documentary, and it's very hard hitting. We only want it to be servants. If someone asks me why I'm here and what I'm doing, I'm here to serve. That I had to learn it the hard way, but that's why God put me on earth, was to serve, and that's what we're trying to do, is serve. We don't want the notoriety. We don't want to be noticed. So that was and I talk about second choices when I speak to medical students. This was one of our second choices. I've been blessed to be able to do it. Not everybody gets that opportunity. A lot of people die every day that have stories even more horrifying than our sons.
Absolutely.
You have to respect all of it, and you have to care about everyone.
Yes. So first of all, thank you, John. I want to make sure that we acknowledge our individuals that's watching right now, and those of you that's watching, hopefully you're understanding the plight of not just a parent of an individual that have committed suicide, but also think about those individuals that are in the healthcare realm, in the profession, right? Shout out, I have loved ones that's in that right now, in the meat of it. And there's a such thing, ladies and gentlemen, called compassion fatigue. All right, because you can care so much, you go and you go and you go, but when you have a moment to actually decompress, everything falls apart. It seems as though emotionally, physically, right, even mentally. So having a certain level of empathy for those individuals that are caring for other people, that is most definitely needed. So hopefully if this resonates with you, you hit the like button, share, and everything, because we want to make sure the message is out there, just to be cognizant that there are individual subject matter experts that are putting the weight of the world on their back, and just to continue to, do the job that they love to do. Big Herm, what you got, brother?
And Mr. Deal, again, everything that he's sharing with people, I know that I can, even though, it wasn't the greatest circumstance, that what you're doing is very commendable for, and I know that people need, it's hard to put it in words.
Yeah.
But I know that people need what you and your wife are doing right now. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
My question is this, though. Since you are a person in that position, when these things happen, folks always look for the words to say.
Yeah.
God called them home early. God don't make mistakes. All the things that people have to say to somebody that's fresh off of their loved one dying by suicide, right? If
Yes.
somebody is truly looking to support, right? Because all people really want to do is support.
Yep.
They want to make the person feel good. They want to make you, let you know that they are there for you. What is the best way that you would recommend somebody to support when they are still fresh into the grieving process?
That's a very, very good question. First of all, you can't really know the right thing to say. People, when they say things, are really and truly trying to support you and show their love for you and care for you. And if they're not, they're trying to be hurtful, and that's just not a person you want to be around, right? I had people say things like, after they see what we've done with the movie, what I've done for some fundraisers and to get my physical health back in line, they'll say, well, see, God had a plan. That doesn't hurt my feelings. It is. I don't want anybody walking on eggshells wondering what to say and what not to say to me. The best thing you can say is say, God bless you. I'm so sorry for your loss. I have no clue what you're going through, but it must be hell. We love you and we support you. That's really all that's all anybody can really do. The person who's going through that, well, it's hard, because especially in the beginning, you're going through all these terrible emotions. You have to understand that these people just trying to show love, and you got to kind of let some of that go. I was telling Seth when I went back to work, and I want to tell you something. God blessed us. We have friends and family who helped us up, who held us up. They didn't come by and say, what do you need? They just dropped it by and said, if you need it. Those are the kind of people they have. Our family is so, so blessed. And so I went back to work, and one of my dear, dear friends was having a very, very difficult day. And she, not even thinking, made a gesture like she was shooting herself in the head. And that's how our son died, was a gunshot wound to the head. And as soon as she did it, she stopped and she was horrified. All right. And I went over to her. I said, Elise, I know how much you love me. I know how much you care about us. I know you wouldn't do that to hurt me. You're allowed to have a frustrating day. All right. Don't walk on eggshells, girl. Be my friend when I need you to be my friend. And I ain't worried about what you say. But some people, we stay in a group of people who've lost children from suicide, and mainly doctors, because that's where Kevin dropped us off, right? But a lot of them think that everybody should be in their head, and it's not because they're mean people or evil people, but that's just where grief can take you. If that makes sense, y'all.
Yeah, that's good.
Hey, so first, this is an amazing show, I believe, and I think this is going to help a lot of people. We had an opportunity to kind of chit chat, prior to the show, and something you said resonated with me. You were saying, well, we were talking about being our key of our piece of the pie, and being a key cog in a much bigger picture, right? And so I myself, I may not ever have an opportunity to influence or be around anyone in the medical field. So I may not be able to impact anyone in that particular area, but the area that I can impact, the people that are around me, I can definitely impact those individuals. And so my question to you is, what are some things I need to look for? What are some things I need to be thinking about? Because not unfortunately, but I've never had to deal with anyone in that particular area or that particular thing happening to me. But I want to be able to see things. I want to be aware, and I think opportunities like this and platforms like this help. But if there's something that you can and I don't need anything magical. You don't have to have anything. Yeah, but I would love some insight on what I may be able to look for in my particular area of concern.
Yeah, I was. That's a very good question, and a very wise question. I think one of the things Kevin's death and our experience through, he really only had what we would consider outwardly obvious issues the last 3 or 4 months of his life. Okay. One of the things that I've learned is not to judge. If someone is going off on you, someone's having a bad day, saying things to you that really just don't seem right, one of the very first things that I do, I say, I don't know what kind of day this person's having. I don't know what they're dealing with. I try to be empathetic toward them, but I also say, hey, are you all right? Is there something I can do? I had a man, I'm an avid cyclist, and I had a man pull up next to me in a car, and I waved him on to go by me, and I guess he thought I was, doing, and he saw fit to turn around and come after me. And he stopped the car, and it was a young man. And he was very upset. And I said, sir, I waved you on so that we could be safe. And I said, but I think you have a few other things that might have been bothering you more this morning than just running into me. Is everything all right? and he left. Okay. But that's just kind of something my mind is trained to do. And sometimes that's hard to do because the first thing you want to do is say, this person's nuts.
Oh yeah.
Or, this person is on me, man. And especially if you're in the military, fight, right? It's like, hey, let's knuckle up. That's the old days, right? Now, I try to put my heart out before I put my dukes up, right? But it's hard, man. I'm telling you, it can get hard, and when it really gets hard, and I think Danny, you're mentioning earlier, when you are thinking about every word you're saying, when you are trying to be that bigger person, that anger's got to go somewhere, right? And sometimes that's back home. And so me and the missus will fight or have a bad day. Love each other. Been married 41 years, and I've been blessed to have every year. And she's we've been through hell and high water together, but it doesn't mean if you don't fight too, then it means you ain't communicating, right? You have to communicate, and then we'll blow off steam, either one of us or both at the same time. And we sit down, and we say, well, my son's birthday is coming up on the 20th, and I don't even have to have a calendar. I could be in a cave somewhere, and when his anniversary comes up, and when his birthday comes up, it's just something that happens inside me. It's just the way it is, and it's always going to be that way. But that's his love in my heart. This man he made me a better man. Both of my kids, when they came into this world, when they drew their first breath, and they continue to make me a better man today, every day.
I want to thank you for that. Two things. First thing is, I want to read this awesome comment by Miss Christine. She says, sometimes the signs are there and we ignore them. And sometimes the person is really able to hide their true feelings and intentions, not wanting to burden their family and friends. Right. And that's absolutely right. And at the same time, that's still a way of being, I would say, it's selfish. Right, because you don't want to burden, but the thing is I really do believe that those individuals don't want to be rejected, right, or judged.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean,
the stigma's immense.
Yeah, the stigma is a trip. Yeah, and but something else you said that made some sense. Like today is my mother's birthday, and she passed away some years ago, back in 2018. But the deal is that it's 2019. you never forget. You never forget, but the deal is how do you remember, ladies and gentlemen? That's what we're talking about, the healing process. Some things you will never forget, but what can you remember and how do you celebrate that? So, Miss Danny, what you got, ma'am?
I love that question. If we can actually give the floor to Mr. Dill, John,
Yes,
to answer
okay.
that question, because I actually do love that question. I did have a different question, but I would love to hear just how do you remember your son?
Oh, there's so many ways, Miss Danny, and the one thing Kevin wanted was for us to be healthy and happy. And if you watch the movie or you see clips of the movie, I used to be a whole lot heavier. Kevin counseled me when he was going through his rotations, and he said, "Dad, it's important. Here's diabetes. Here's what it does." He didn't scold me. He just said, "Here, I'm just making you aware of it." And so I lost a bunch of weight because that was important to him, right? And when he died, I didn't care, And for 2 years, I ballooned up and I became very unhealthy. And it wasn't fair to do to my wife. I actually thought I was going to lose my wife too because it was so hard the first year. But through prayer and friends and just hanging on to one another, counseling and medication, we got through it, right? But my health wasn't changing, and so I in Kevin's honor and in his name, I did a couple things. I hired a life coach named Charles D'Angelo who helped me lose about 100 pounds within, I don't know, 6 months.
Wow.
And he said, you gotta pick a goal. What's your goal? And I said, my son ran a marathon when he was in college, and he always wanted to do a triathlon. So I'm going to do a triathlon. And he said, "You're 58 years old, dude. It hurts to sit in a chair, and you're going to go do a triathlon." I said, "I at least have to try it." That's the spirit my son put in me, and that was one of my ways of getting to a better place. And I am so glad I did it. I did actually three Olympic distance triathlons, and I did a half Ironman in his honor. Had shirts made up. My whole family went down for it in the pouring rain down in Memphis, and God got me through it somehow. It was probably one of the most emotionally inspiring things, other than getting married and having children. It just in sport. I still shiver when I think about it because the people who loved and cared about me were there, and they came distances to make that happen. So that was just one thing. Anything I do like that, I do it to help raise money for Chads because I know a lot more people will be helped. The other things is getting involved with Chads, helping neighbors. Actually, before I came in here, I got a little concrete bench out in front of my house, and there's 3 little kids that love to come and sit on that bench. It's in the front yard. So I painted it, and I'm gonna put their names on it, because that'll be their little special place. That helps me, right? That's the kind of love and the kindness my son put in my heart and continues to put in every day. And I will never stop. The one thing the triathlons do, I don't do them anymore, but I still do the workouts because when I'm out there, he's on that bike with me, right? When that guy pulled over and yelled at me, he was right there with me. He put the words in my mouth to say what I should say instead of what I really probably would have wanted to do. So does that answer your question, Dan?
Yes. I want to say again that I just appreciate you for being here. I thank you for your courage, your thoughtfulness. I thank you for just the lessons that you're teaching us all, how we can handle things because life will throw all kind of different curveballs in our direction, but how to handle things and move forward, even though it's not easy. The way you carry yourself is just remarkable and admirable. So thank you again for being here. I do want to also ask like a 2-part question.
Sure.
So with your organization, I don't know if Seth made a mistake and said 4th grade, but were there some things in your documentary and as you started to do your research that you started to unearth about the demographics and why this is widespread and what's happening now? Because I don't think I remember hearing about death to suicide 10, 15 plus years ago. It just seems to be
Right.
more prevalent now. Is there anything that you learned in your research and studies?
Tremendous amount of life experience came our way. First, the documentary is mainly about medical schools and doctors. The fourth grade statistic that Seth mentioned is when we go into the schools. I think Chad's is in just about every school in St. Louis now,
Yeah.
and when we started going to schools, we don't just talk to the students. We make sure the counselors, principals, everybody are there to understand what the signs of suicide are, and we have a social and emotional wellness, which is anti-bullying campaign. And when we started, 7% of the fourth graders self-reported, said, I'm thinking of harming myself. That's a fourth grader. All right. That's terrible. Right after COVID, it's up to 14%. It's really devastating. And so, what I have really found out, and you say you learning from me, we're learning from each other. I learned a lot from Seth. We talked a lot about what military folks have to come back to, and some of those challenges and PTSD from battle. It's all the same type of thing, right? We just have to try to understand it. And the statistics are just, I think the most unfortunate thing is it took the death of Robin Williams, Kate Spade, Anthony Bourdain. I'm so sorry, I can't remember the singer. I'm seeing her face and I can't say her name. That died of suicide. Right? It takes those kind of people dying before someone will go, hey, I guess it is a problem.
What is it? Oh, my dad said to go to rehab, and I said no. Amy Winehouse.
Yeah. Right. And but who's a African American singer?
Whitney Houston.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm seeing her. She's so pretty. I'm seeing her face in my mind. And when that happened, that devastated me. These are all people everybody would think got it made, right? They got the money, they got the fame, no one knows what's going on in someone's head. And usually super creative people and super talented people, they're the ones most at risk because they think of things differently. They view them in different ways, So yeah, it was really a shame it took those people dying to get a better conversation. I will tell you all this though. We are seeing improvements. The medical schools do come together. They're only supposed to come together by law once a year. They've decided it would be a better idea to come together twice a year. They're implementing resources. Kevin's alma mater up at AT Still, they and Naomi Judd. I just saw one pop up. Thank you, Miss Christine. They tripled their budget to reach out to students and hired extra people. And not only because the school's in a small community, they're going out into the community to try to help too. Very rural community, man, lots of drugs, lots of reasons. And same for all our brothers and sisters in urban communities. And I don't care who it is, everybody's having trouble. We've got to be there to help them.
So we got one more question for you. What you got, huh?
So for this one, from what I've experienced on the outside, right, with people with multiple kids, sometimes it feels like, it looks like the kid that is still around sometimes get lost in the shuffle of what's going on now. The attention, they are lacking attention of what the parents, because the parents are, the other child's grieving as well.
Yeah,
but now the child is missing out on their parents for a while because the parents are out of commission.
Yeah.
Because of what just happened. Is
Yeah.
it fair to say that? And if it is, what do you think about that? And how can a parent that, that's going through what you just went through, how should they look at that?
You know, that's a very, very good question. One thing I say to people is what happened to us was horrible, but I can go point out 100 different people who had it much worse. Okay. And these kind of things that come up, there are things that a lot of people don't think about. I know for us, getting the entire family involved with a support group and talking honestly about how we feel and making sure everybody is heard any way you can. And sometimes when the parents are devastated, you really hope that the siblings in the family will pull tight together. I don't know why it worked for us. I can only be grateful for it that it worked for us right now. And when I say right now, life's about second choices and about change. You know, you just don't know, right? I pray every day it stays the way it is, but I don't. If I knew how to fix it, we wouldn't have to be having this call, right?
Yeah. No, look, we appreciate that. We really do appreciate that. So, look, Jabri, I'm gonna let you get one in, man, for your final thoughts, brother, because I know that you do have to leave, and I appreciate you taking this time out. And I mean, out of all the places in the world, you reached out right over there in Puerto Rico. You get what I'm saying? So, I'm gonna give you that, man. We appreciate
Definitely sacrifice on your part, man. I am
right?
very
Oh man,
impressed.
no. To be honest, I didn't even have another question. My last sentiment I wanted to express how genuinely blessed I was to have sat in and gotten the opportunity to meet you and even hear your story. Because sometimes we don't. Say, for instance, I wasn't on this platform or I wasn't tuned in to the Lions Den like everybody else should be. Go ahead and subscribe, by the way. But if I wasn't tuned in like I was, maybe I would have never heard this story. Maybe I would have been on Amazon Prime and scrolled right through the actual documentary. And but I am very blessed to have met you. I think your story is amazing. It sounds like your son was an amazing man, and your family is super awesome for everything that they've endured. And again, my heart goes out to you. And again, thank you for coming to the platform.
Well, thank you, my friend. Listen, y'all, it goes both ways, right? Today, I happen to be telling a story, but just talking to y'all, I'm learning too, right? It's not just this way for everybody, right? It's you have to have an open mind, you have to care, and you have to listen. And that's what I tell the med students. How can you help? See somebody having a bad day, ask them how they're doing. You know, walk into a McDonald's or a bread company or something. Say, hey, how's your day going? You can't believe it. Oh man, thank you. You know, it's something that simple, right? You don't have to get top billing somewhere. Just do the simple things to make your life and their life better. So yeah, the respect all goes back to y'all for real for having this channel.
Most definitely. Go ahead. What you got? What's your word, Danny?
Yes, so just God bless you, the organization, and everything that your family, the organization, and everything that you all are doing to push the agenda and the message forward. And everyone who's listening and watching, make sure to go support by purchasing or renting the movie on Amazon. And thank you again for being here.
Wow, thank you. And listen, I threw this out to Seth, and I'll throw it out to anybody out there who's listening, and all of you. If there's any way that this story can help you or a group of people you're working with, or anyone, I will never ever charge for it. I can't. I will never make money on my son's death. But I am willing to talk to anybody. You've got a school you want me to go to, whatever. Those things make me happy in life. Those things give me sense of purpose.
Right on. Go ahead, final word, Big Herm.
Hey, Mr. Dielt, please pass on to Mrs. Dielt and your daughter as well, that you guys are really carrying on your son Kevin's legacy forward. A lot of times when something like this, their journey might have stopped when they have died from suicide, but you guys made sure that that did not happen with your son. So even still, you know, he was in the medical profession. Even still, you know, his life still has meaning when it comes to helping people. So thank you for everything that you have done, that you continue to do for the people out there. What you are doing is needed, and I appreciate you coming on the show to share a story.
Thank you, my friend. I will leave you guys with one happy note. We found out on Kevin's anniversary date, which is the April 23rd, 2015, that our daughter is expecting our first grandchild.
Mm-hmm.
So we have happy stuff to talk about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
So, and we're
December,
totally
right?
excited about that, and that's a blessing that we'll gladly take.
It's in December, right, John?
December 1st, yes,
That's
sir.
right. That's
yeah,
right.
and that's my son-in-law's birthday.
Wow.
Yeah. So
well, yeah,
that brings joy in our heart, and his if they stay the way it is now, his middle name will be the same as Kevin's middle name, and there's plenty of happiness out there. Sometimes it's hard to find, but there's plenty of happiness out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you again, John.
Yeah.
Yes. And also, yes, Miss Christine, congratulations and many blessings to you and your family. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that have been tuned in, we want to thank you for taking the time out this week and joining in this process. You get what I mean? In this conversation. Keep this in mind too. Healing is a journey. There is no destination. And so as you're going along through life, it's important to be cognizant of every day and how you can connect with individuals to make their day a little bit better. So what do you think that would do for yours? All right. So, but in the meantime, again, thank you, John, for being on, and everyone else. We will see you soon and see you next week. Right on.
See you on YouTube, man.
That's right.